TMCnet at Astricon 2008.
Good morning. I know it's early, but that's pretty weak. Good morning. That's much better. Welcome to Wednesday at Astricon. My name is Danny Wyndham, and I am CEO of Digium, and I would like to thank you, one, for being here. Thank you for your participation in Astricon, but I also like to thank you for your participation in the Asterisk project. There have been a number of individuals that I would also like to thank that have worked tirelessly for the last few months to put this event on. And while there are dozens of people that have been involved, there are a handful of people that I would like to recognize individually. It includes Lisa King, and if you're out there, would you please stand up as I call your name? Lisa King, John Todd, Steve Sokol, Paul Barham, Julie Webb, Lawrence Anderson, and the entire rest of the Digium marketing team. I'd also like to thank our MCs for this event, which include Carl Ford, David Duffett, Ole Johansson, Ed Guy, and Jared Smith. So I'm interested just to understand the makeup of the crowd. Since it's early, we'll do a little audience participation. How many of you out there, by show of hands, would classify yourself into the category of you're here because you're a developer? Show of hands. All right. The next category, how many of you are here and you would classify yourself into the category of Asterisk end user, but not necessarily Asterisk developer? And how many of you would classify yourself as a Asterisk ecosystem partner or supplier of some sort? All right, what category did I miss? Anything? How about those of you who are from gigantic telephony companies here on industrial espionage missions? At least you're willing to put your hand up and admit to it. All right, this morning I would like to introduce Brian Aker, our keynote speaker for this morning's session. I said I would like to introduce him, but I can't. Brian is not here. So last night about, 8:30, I was relaxing over dinner, having a nice time, reflecting on the fact that I thought the first day of Astricon had gone pretty well. Attendance for the event is up. The number of exhibitors at this event is up. I felt like there was a lot of enthusiasm and excitement among what was going on the conference floor. And then the phone rang, and we learned that Brian is in Duluth, Minnesota, because of weather trying to make his connection to Minneapolis, which he missed, and is therefore not able to be with us today. So that absolutely put the Digium team into a mode of saying, how will we fill this time and what can we do that will be as meaningful as what Brian would have done in his keynote speech this morning? So part of our interest in involving Brian as a true open source pioneer, a self-proclaimed hacker, someone who's been a veteran of the growth of MySQL to Keynote here at Astricon, was for us to be able to gain his insight into what MySQL did along the way, with the goal of trying to grow and foster an open source project while also building a commercial entity beside that open source project to learn from what they did well and what they didn't do well. And I think we could all agree that they did some things very well. They did some things maybe not so well. And our hope was to be able to have him explain those things to us for the benefit of us understanding how we foster and better grow the Asterisk community as this project grows. So with that as the original intent, in Brian's absence, what we've elected to do is to spend this time talking about things that we believe are important to the future success of the Asterisk open source project, and some of the things that are being done and some of the things that we are doing to try to help ensure that success. So since taking this job about 1.5 years ago, which by the way has been a very fun, interesting, and educational 1.5 years, and particularly since Digium's acquisition of Switchvox this time 1 year ago, one of the most common questions that I am asked is, will you please explain to me what Digium's business philosophy and business policies are? So one, I'd like to do that here today. So when I'm asked that question, I like to say that Digium is a company with dual missions. The first of those missions is to be the sponsor and maintainer of the Asterisk open source project. And often when I say that is mission number one, I also characterize that by saying our job in doing that portion of our mission is to be benevolent in that effort. And I say that as much for our benefit as to try to convey the thought behind it, because many times the decisions that we are forced to make regarding what's in the best interest of an open source project are sometimes in conflict with what's in the best interest of a for-profit entity. And so Digium works very hard to try to balance those two things, because it is truly our belief that it is our best chance of success on the for-profit side of our mission is for Asterisk, the open source project, to be widely and broadly adopted. So therefore, we want to make decisions that allow the growth, expansion, and adoption of the Asterisk open source project. So the other mission of Digium is a for-profit entity. And in that for-profit entity, the mission statement could best be described as all things Asterisk. We want to provide products and services that enable businesses or those serving businesses to allow those businesses to take advantage of the power of Asterisk. And in that mission, we build everything from training programs to turnkey platforms upon which you can run Asterisk, and lots of things in between the two. Recently, Jay Phillips of Adhesion fame, Jay, are you here? Wrote a blog that created quite a bit of stir in the community, at least quite a bit of stir within Digium, where he referred to a couple of concepts that have been embodied in some very famous business books. The first is The Long Tail by Chris Anderson, where he applied the thought process that Chris Anderson had applied to the IP telephony market. So for those of you who haven't read The Long Tail tries to describe what happens in markets when technology that either underlies the product or underlies the distribution of that product changes. What impact does that have on demand? And he also made a claim in that blog that Asterisk has not crossed the chasm. That is another reference to a business book that says that products have to move from the early adopter phase to the mass market phase by crossing this chasm. And I believe both of those are very appropriate ways to think about where Asterisk is today and where it's going in the future. So if we first look at the long tail says, in fact, in the book, the record industry was the model industry that was studied. But what the book suggests is that as technology changes, it reveals demand that could not be serviced in the past. And let's talk about the IP telephony market. When we look at the IP telephony market, there is really, in our opinion, one giant mass market product available in the IP telephony space, and it is an IP PBX. However, there is all this demand that before now could not be served, because traditionally the way the market worked was you go buy a piece of iron and you sit it down in your business and it is your phone system and you use it. So what you were doing then was buying a mass market product and running your business on it. The concept that there are unique segments of demand that appeal to smaller segments of the market create the concept of the long tail. So if there are customers out there who really want something unique and something specific, how do you enable demand to reach that? That segment of the market is best served with a customizable solution, which we would contend should be based off of open source Asterisk or business edition Asterisk. So if you think about the way ERP systems are sold today, essentially the big ERP companies come to a large companies primarily buy ERP systems. They sell the equivalent of a jar of clay and consulting time, most often provided by their integration partners. And those integration partners go in and they take that jar of clay and they mold it so that that jar of clay perfectly fits the business processes associated with that large enterprise, and you have a customized ERP solution for your company. That exact model is emerging and exists as an opportunity within large enterprise for the way communication systems are sold. Communication systems will be tightly integrated with the way business processes within a business work, and the only way to do that is to be able to customize it. You can't build one giant ERP system that meets the business processes of all companies. They're just too diverse. That exact same concept applies to phone systems. It's just not been able to be served. That segment of the demand has not been able to be served in the past. However, there is a segment of the market that is best served by a packaged solution. It's that mass market segment. And in order for Asterisk to cross the chasm, we must make it easy for all businesses to benefit from Asterisk. Some of the businesses out there, particularly those who are smaller, less technically competent, really don't know or care that a project has an open source basis. But all they want is a product that's easy to use and low cost and a turnkey system. So in our thinking about the market and the positioning, that segment of the market is best served with a turnkey solution. That explains why we made the Switchvox acquisition a year ago. And the segment of the market for anything customizable other than that mass market solution is best served by Asterisk. Now, since this segment of the market, or this group of people, is probably most interested in understanding what's going on to better serve that long tail of demand, what we'd like to do today is talk about some things that are going on that are designed to better serve that segment of the demand curve. So in our view, there are three things that has to be done in order for Asterisk, the project, to succeed long term. And the first of those is that Asterisk has to be the best choice available from which to build telephony engines or telephony applications. And so how will we ensure that Asterisk is the best choice? Well, to help provide some insight into Digium's view of where Asterisk is going and how we will ensure we retain that market position, I'd like to invite Mark Spencer, Digium CTO, founder, and original creator of Asterisk, to the stage.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate my adoring fans. Anyway, years and years ago, I actually had Microsoft came to Auburn University where I went to school and did some recruiting. And so I actually had this phone interview with Microsoft. And so they were going through all these questions about what kinds of tools I had used. And of course, all my development had been on Linux. And they got to the end of the interview, and the last question they asked was, if you could write your own job description at Microsoft, what would it be? And I thought about it a minute, and I said, I'd like to work on free software for Linux. And there was silence at the other end of the line for a few minutes, and then, well, I'll see if we have anyone working on that. So you can imagine the excitement not only at being able to make a career out of working on free software for Linux, but being able to employ so many other people in the capacity of creating free software for Linux. When I started Linux Support Services, of course, I was just doing Linux tech support, and Asterisk was a side thing that was created because I really couldn't afford to buy a phone system, and even if I could afford it, it probably would have been too cheap anyway to have spent the money on it. And so by creating this, it has ended up creating an opportunity for me to be able to give back to the community in a big way. When we started, though, there was, I wish I could say I had the grand vision for what Asterisk is today, but really it was much more localized. The early focus was all about, well, we need to add these features into Asterisk. Here's Asterisk as a PBX, and here's all the features that these other systems have had that we need to make Asterisk do better. And that was pretty exciting for a while. And then there was, well, here's some ways we can make Asterisk's feature set expand beyond what normal PBXs do in little ways. Maybe there were small features, attaching your voicemail to email and so on that weren't really present in other systems that were sort of incremental improvements. But one of the biggest transitions that has really happened in the last few years is, even though all this PBX stuff is really what is the bread and butter of how Digium builds most of its business, all the software, all the interesting stuff that's going on with Asterisk has to do with the idea that Asterisk is now a platform that gets combined with other products, whether it's MySQL or GPS or web services, or, who knows what it is, right? All of this stuff gets put together in a way to solve a new problem that is using telecom to enable some kind of new solution in a space that didn't exist before. The first ones were generally very clever, but maybe not so practical. So, things like I Plate You, things like the Q games where, instead of waiting on hold with hold music, you would play trivia games. And if you won the game, then you would move up in the queue, and if you lost the game, then you would move down in the queue. All these things are really cool technology applications, but they weren't necessarily things that people were going to build businesses out of. Yesterday, I met with someone doing something really exciting. Lori Steele has a company called Everybody Counts that's actually using Asterisk to allow people to vote in real elections worldwide by telephone and online. And to think about, Asterisk as a technology that enables that and enables it in a transparent, auditable way is incredibly exciting. So with all that in mind, one of the most important things that we have to do at Digium is to recognize this important new role that Asterisk has and to make improvements to the software that are designed to help address this. So one of the big things that Digium is doing is taking Asterisk and trying to make it more accessible to developers that want to develop their own custom applications on top of it. That is not just being a PBX, but making it easier. Even though we have systems like AGI and AMI today, the management interface and the gateway interface, what can we do to make it easier for people to actually build applications natively in languages that they choose, and to do those things in a portable fashion? How can we work better to support people like Jay that are building frameworks, connectors to other languages on top of Asterisk? So that is a big focus of what we're doing going forward. Another thing is that as Asterisk is expanding, it is moving into larger and larger installations. And there are certainly people who have built incredibly large Asterisk systems. We know of several companies that have installations literally in the hundreds of thousands of endpoints running on Asterisk, most of which unfortunately don't really like it really well known that they use Asterisk because of competitive, they view it as sort of a competitive advantage for them versus some of their competitors. But doing so takes a lot more effort than we would like it to. And so we want to make Asterisk easier to scale and more transparent to scale without as much work for end users to do. So those are sort of the two biggest areas that we can work on. And our goal, again, is to try to make sure that we keep Asterisk as the de facto platform that you would want to use for building any kind of telephony application, either on its own or in conjunction with other tools that may solve other problems. So, Daniel, I'll give it back to you. Thank you.
Being from Alabama, we have a motto of vote early, vote often, and I never realized that when we did that, we'd be able to use our own technology in that process. That would be great. So the second thing that we believe the Asterisk project needs for long-term success is true innovation being driven by the community members. And so what I'd like to do is to invite Bill Miller, our Vice President of Product Management, to come to the stage to talk and recognize just a small number of those contributors out of the community today that really are innovating and pushing Asterisk in new and innovative directions. Bill?
Thank you, Danny. Good morning, everybody. We have a few very interesting things up here this morning, which was the best we obviously could do for replacing Brian, who is a very dynamic speaker. This is the second year of our Innovation Awards, and really it's designed to recognize the folks here and in the community who have done some really amazing things. And we did put out the formal announcement this morning on the wire, so there's a little bit more detail in that formal announcement. But I do want to share with you the people that we have awarded the top awards to this year. The first one, hopefully not too controversial, is by Greenfield Technology, and a lot of people know Nir Simovich, who is here. But he put together, as a contractor, a really interesting Pioneer Award, totally innovative, that you can actually pray at the Western Wall by calling this telephone number that you can get in a prepaid platform, built with ultrasonic speakers at the Western Wall, And actually just, you can go on the web and get a free, I think it's a 3-minute call, just to see what it's like. And for those who are interested, that is, in our opinion, for this year, the most innovative Pioneer Award. It's a very simple use of Asterisk, but it's a very clever use. So I hope that you all agree that that's kind of interesting. And you can go, if you look on the wire today, there is a website, and you can click on that website and go see it and actually try it. It's kind of interesting. Mark mentioned an account. This is one that will tell you that he's Asterisk-based. And for those who know Alastair Cunningham, who's very active in the community on the mailing list, Alastair has built a company called Integrix and a product called NSwitch. That product is it's a service provider product. He sells to ITSPs and various other large service communication providers. And he's built a cluster-aware version of Asterisk that actually comes in standard clusters, 1, 2, 3, up to 7 servers. And he can actually do more. And they have almost 500,000 endpoints on their network. One customer alone has over 100,000 endpoints. We think that that's the largest Asterisk known installation that people will admit to. I know John Todd's smiling because he knows of a couple of other pretty large ones that will not tell people that they're Asterisk-based. But we also have a published case study on this. I don't know if it hit the website yet this week, but it's done. And we hope that several of you folks, if you want, can certainly contact Alastair, and he's willing to share all the technical details. He's also MySQL-based, which we wanted that to lead into Brian's talk today, but that was interesting. On the ROI perspective, a lot of times people just say it's so cheap, you know, I use the free version of open source, whatever. And so in the ROI award category, MD Business Services is an end user who's actually applied to the healthcare market an Asterisk implementation that's used 24/7 by 365 for Medicaid patients. And if you, a lot of us who are getting older, because my parents are all gone, but a lot of us as we get older, our parents are older, and they're all on Medicaid, and we don't really understand a lot of that until you get there, and those who haven't experienced it will. But the number of times per day and the number of physicians that access this network, and it never goes down, based on Asterisk is pretty impressive. So we really thought, and the ROI was basically within weeks of replacing the system that it replaced. So again, there's more information on the website, but we thought that was a pretty powerful solution. Tillman, by the way, worked on that network some time ago. For those of you who know Tillman, who's here, now works for Digium, worked on that system in the past. Last year we gave out an award to iPlateU, which was the probably our most fun award last year, and that's the one when you drive around, basically you can register your license plate and call people and tell them what you think of them when you kind of give them a virtual I don't like you, you know, through the license plate number, or if you see somebody you really like, you could, you know, kind of contact them and try to get together with them later. Phone Play was this year's award. Josh Knowles, who I know Mark has met up at NYU, and Mark is always willing to talk about NYU projects, has put together a big screen game where you can actually call in using your cell phone and move these squares around. And they had it on our new building at Digium when they were first developing it, and it was kind of interesting. But Josh and his team put together a pretty fun game that's available. And last but not least, we decided, not worthy of a full award yet, we decided to give NTT an award in Japan. They built, you know, I worked for Fujitsu for several years, and so I know how complex it is and how slow they are at putting together production class networks for NTT, which is the AT&T, if you will, of Japan, and the backbone carrier. And NTT Software has put together a solution based on Asterisk Business Edition that is in trial. So we couldn't give it an award yet because it's only in trial. But to get Asterisk as a core technology for service in Japan, we thought was quite worthy. And I have to say that in the award applications, they gave us more detail than anybody else of all the actual awards. There's network diagrams, return on investment calculations, stuff that we were kind of blown away with. So we decided that they were worthy of an honorable mention. So this is the first call for 2009. We have a website. We would like people in the Asterisk community, open source Asterisk, business edition Asterisk, any Asterisk implementation that you believe is innovative or qualifies for these, to please submit to this website. Also in the press release today, it is on the Digium website, and there's a form there to just fill in, and we'll be taking these applications all year long. So thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And lastly, in order for Asterisk to be a long-term successful project, we believe that you must have the tools, the infrastructure, and the ecosystem in place to allow the community to both grow and thrive. And this has been the topic of a lot of debate within Digium over the last year. And Steve Sokol, who is Digium product manager, who was the original founder of Sokol & Associates, who actually started the Astricon trade conference, has been leading the heavy lifting on the strategic thinking about how we put a structure in place that would enable an ecosystem that would serve anyone from a weekend hobbyist trying to do something for their home all the way up to a large enterprise trying to build something that's very complicated, combination of open source, proprietary, commercial software, and blend it all together into a real solution. So Steve?
Thank you, Danny. Well, so far, we've heard Mark talk about the future technology directions that we're going in, some of the new things that are going to be added to support new and better APIs and also scalability, expanding that, making it easier to do. And Bill has talked about innovators and people who've done amazing things with Asterisk and who will continue to do amazing things. And what I'm going to talk about now are 4 initiatives that Digium has created that we're going to be launching over the next couple of quarters that are going to enable not only Digium, but the entire community to benefit by way of Asterisk. We're offering basically 4 new things which should make you able to succeed with Asterisk in cases where right now some things are a little more complex. To start off with, well, I guess to go through them, the first one is Asterisk Now. I think there's probably a fair number of people out there who've seen the initial Asterisk Now, the first version that we put out a little over a year ago. So we're coming back to that. We're also launching something called the Asterisk Marketplace, and that's also kind of a spin on a version that's already out there on the website, but it's going to be much more powerful. Next, we're launching something called A2M, which stands for Asterisk Application Manager, and I think you guys will really like that. And last of all, I want to announce that in a shift of direction and policy, we're going to start providing support by way of subscriptions for our open source Asterisk. I'm glad to see that that one resonates, because I think that's exciting. It's going to enable you as developers, as resellers, to really do a lot. To start off with Asterisk Now, those of you who are familiar with it, it's a software platform or a software appliance that lets people easily and quickly install Asterisk right now. And it was a great idea, and it does some great things, and there's a lot of people who've done a lot with it. It still gets a lot of downloads. But we've been listening to the market, and people have told us, hey, it's running on a distribution of Linux that people aren't really familiar with. And it's running on a distribution of Linux that makes it actually kind of hard to apply additional patches or packages directly to it. And the user interface that's on there, it's great, but there are other options for user interfaces that you might want to support. And you might want to put a database on there. And a few other things that have been pretty good comments, and we've kind of checked around with our community. We've done a little bit of, core market research. And we've found out that, okay, we need to take another shot at this. So what we're coming back with, we're basically doing it in a 2-phased approach. Asterisk Now 1.5, a few of you may have heard about this. There was a little bit of buzz a few weeks ago. Is Asterisk running on top of the CentOS Linux distribution, which is a kind of standard Red Hat enterprise clone. And it's operating with the FreePBX GUI on top of it. So those of you who are familiar with FreePBX by way of some of the other distributions, this is a new option. It's completely open. It's based on the real FreePBX. And I think, Philippe, are you here? There we go. Philippe's been directly involved with the product team that's been working on this. So this is free software. It's going to be openly available, and we hope to have something out in the next week or two. We've been doing some testing with it, and as a matter of fact, this afternoon you'll be able to see a sample of it in the code zone. So if you get a chance, stop by over here and take a look. But this gives you Asterisk in a packaged format that you can build on top of. Asterisk has become the platform, as Mark said, and this is a platform that's easy to install, uses standard Linux, is completely open, all of the source code is available, and you can use this as a basis for your own products. But Asterisk Now 1.5 is just the first step in a two-step process for this Asterisk Now initiative. The second step that we're taking is to actually produce binary installations of Asterisk, not only for CentOS, but also for a number of very popular distributions. So you can take these, you can build against them using the open source code, you can download the source modules with it, but then you can create installations that are based entirely on a fixed platform. You know what's in there because it's binary, and you'll always get the same thing. The other cool thing about it is that, at least in the case of CentOS and Red Hat-related distributions, and fairly soon for Debian-based distributions, we're actually creating repositories. These are basically libraries of software that can be installed on a system that uses that type of, I guess, package management utility. And what this gives you the ability to do is, instead of doing an Asterisk upgrade by downloading and compiling and installing the latest source code, you can simply type yum update Asterisk, and you'll have the newest, latest, greatest, or whichever version of Asterisk you need to pull from that repository. So this takes things to a new level in terms of convenience. So Asterisk Now is going to be evolving. We've got a session at 2 o'clock where we're going to be discussing more of these concepts in depth. And if you guys would like to be involved in the what goes into Asterisk Now, we're looking for suggestions and concepts, and we would appreciate it if you'd show up and interact with us a little bit and help us sort of make some progress in this, because we're really looking forward to it. The next thing on my list of initiatives is the Asterisk Marketplace. Right now we've got something on the website which is a static document, basically, that lists members of the Asterisk ecosystem, different companies that have Asterisk-related products. And that's great. It gives you an opportunity to find Asterisk products, or if you're a producer of one, to get your product out in front of people. But right now, you still have to go through a process of then going to that product's website, following the process to purchase it, to download it, to manually install it. And what we're looking to do with the Marketplace 2.0 is to automate that to the degree that it's just another e-commerce transaction, and that all of the licensing, all of the distribution, all of the delivery mechanisms that people are having to build individually, plus all of the commercial components, paying, etc., are handled by Digium for you if you choose to sign up for this. We've got a couple of different models, and Jim Webster, Jim, are you in the audience? Is our master of the marketplace. So he'll be joining me at 2 o'clock today. Okay. So that's a big initiative. That's the first initiative of a two-phase strategy again. The next part is what we call A2M, or Asterisk Application Manager. And that takes those applications that you can buy from the marketplace, and instead of it being a transaction where you download it, get a binary, go and install it, it gives you the ability to browse for software that's available for your Asterisk, click it, buy it, and it installs itself. This is where we hit the point of being a true platform. You create an Asterisk application, you can upload it, somebody sees it, they click, they install it, they've got it. This works not only for commercial software, but this is going to be available for open source software as well. Digium's committed to it, and we're going to be creating an Asterisk Forge, in essence, where open source developers can create packages. This gets your packages that you create onto people's systems much faster than by going through the traditional mechanism where you put it into the bug tracker, it goes through several iterations. This way you can actually distribute packages almost immediately. Last but not least is the support subscription, and I think this is going to be an important thing for end users, resellers, etc. Right now, if you want support, we've been focusing on Business Edition. And while Business Edition has a great place and it's very good as a solution for OEMs, there's a lot of people out there who are committed to open source and just need a hand. So in this case, we're launching a support subscription that's going to cover the same kinds of things that we do with Business Edition, but for open source. So you can call up with questions, you can purchase hands-on support via SSH, a lot of the things that have not been available right now from Digium in the open source world. So those are the 4 big initiatives. We've got Asterisk Now, the new platform. We've got Asterisk Marketplace. We've got A2M, the application manager, the delivery system. And then we've got open source subscriptions. And I think that these are going to do things that will take Asterisk across that chasm. Thank you, and I'm going to turn it back to Danny.
Thank you, Steve. I would reiterate one point that Steve made is that the 4 initiatives he described are in various phases of existence. Asterisk Now 1.5 exists today. Some of the projects he mentioned are in the definition stage and being worked on. And we just thought this was such a good opportunity to have an opportunity to talk to you about these. If you have input of what you think is important, if you'd like to provide Steve feedback on if we're doing the right things or not, please attend his session at 2 o'clock. That's the right time to be able to do that.